approach to marketing their film, getting to the ground and selling the film. Actually, I'd like us to see the photos as you can see on display there. Please buy our film. Inaongeza urembo na nguvu za kiume, okay? That is quite an incentive for you to purchase this particular film, but it's a creative way. They went out there to the ground and they are selling links. And this is just one of the ways that filmmakers are monetizing this art. How do we get to sell our films? Well, that's the big question today. And I'm joined in studio by Philip Karanja, who is the CEO of Philip Productions. And virtually, I'm joined also by the Kenya Film Commission CEO, Timothy Owase. Phil, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Interesting. Is it true when we buy your film, we're going to be stronger in that sector?
And beautiful. So the film is titled A Grand Little Lie. So the whole film, the whole basis of the film is the small little lies that we tell that amount to, biblical disasters. And so even in our marketing communication, that's what we went with, so small little lies that we tell. To sell.
Now you get it.
Yeah, now you get it.
So that's a small little lie,
yes,
right?
Yes, it is a small little. And in Kenya, apparently, if you tell people inaongeza nguvu za kiume ama itaongeza urembo, people buy.
Oh.
And we were shocked it actually worked.
That's interesting. Now to get into partnership with those guys who put their numbers and they say, yeah, we add this and that. That's an idea.
Yes, yes.
But thinking about marketing this particular art and selling the film itself, I understand film is quite an expensive venture.
Oh, yeah.
In the local scene, you've been there for quite a while.
Yes.
Are people recouping their investment in film?
Unfortunately, in our country, no. Not yet. So a lot of the films produced in this country, and that's why there are not so many, the only way you can make money from making a film in Kenya is when you're funded. Most of the time, sorry about that, you're funded by an international organization. So they give you the budget and you do the film. But now, unfortunately, the minute someone gives you money, you're going to tell their story, not your story.
Yeah.
So as filmmakers, we are pretty restricted, because if someone is funding your film, they're going to tell you what theme to write about or what to talk about. So that's the only way Kenyans make money. Otherwise, from direct sales, box office sales, no.
And that is quite sad. I don't know whether we have Mr. Timothy Owase with us. Virtually, Madam Director can give me further directives in that regard. But that notwithstanding, for this particular film, you guys have taken quite an interesting approach, going to the ground.
Right.
But I know the traditional way, you release a film, then you call people to watch the film, and they pay to watch that particular film. Tell us the thought process you started on that, but that was not the end game for you.
Yes. Yes, the traditional method of selling film is do a box office opening, that's at a cinema hall. Now, why a film in Hollywood will make sales or make their money back is because on opening weekend, a blockbuster film is opening in over 4,000 cinema halls across the world. Now in Kenya, cinema halls are a bit expensive for filmmakers, just for us to rent out the cinema space. So for us, we decided, we're going to open with one cinema theater, which is Nairobi Cinema. And thankfully, thank you to Kenya Film Classification Board. And our goal was not to make money from the opening weekend or at the cinema halls. Our goal was to create film ambassadors. Film with a P-H-I-L-M. Get it?
That's quite selfish.
Well, you have to sell yourself.
Yeah.
And our goal was, we won't make money from the opening weekend, but we will get, if we can get 1,000 people to come to the cinema hall, this become our ambassadors, and they will sell our film organically. And I think it worked.
That's quite interesting. I want to rope in the Kenya Film Commission CEO, Timothy Owase. Thank you very much for joining us, sir. Just as Phil has put it, film with a PH, it's quite hard to make money out of it, the core, like you create a product and sell it. You have to be funded. Why are we in this particular situation? Is there anything historic to this status quo?
Thank you very much for hosting me. and I'm happy that I'm joined by Phil Karanja.
Thank you.
It's true that we all appreciate the beauty of this film industry and the potential that it has as far as the market, the stories, and the artists who are participating in the development of respective films in the market. But again, main to the point that you brought up, monetization is king. Why is it king? Because that's the only way you'll be able to recoup your expenditures as far as your costs in production are concerned. But for you to be able to do this, you require to actually undertake and appreciate film as a real business, putting down all tenets of business making from the story writing all the way to distribution. You must have mechanisms and strategies that are deliberate for you to be able to actually sell your film targeting a specific audience. For example, today, Phil can be able to confirm that he cannot be able to produce a film without knowing whom he's making that film to. Yeah. And most filmmakers fall to that trap where you produce a film without knowing exactly whom you are going to sell to. And by that, you end up selling your film to the wrong target audience, which is not very profitable or conducive to your intentions of being able to create wealth. So I think my key opening point is that the film industry in Kenya is a growing sector that needs to be nurtured, and that's why the government is doing all possible to put every measure in place so that we have a conducive environment that will enable the likes of Phil to be able to tell their stories and make those stories very profitable.
Yeah, that is quite interesting. And talking about stories, Phil, you've just mentioned earlier on, sometimes, you know, the person who pays the piper determines what tune is going to be played at the end of the day. Telling our stories, I don't know whether it's the same as the music industry, because there's an element, first of all, market controls. So there was a time we had a Niger vibe kind of music in Kenya, because that was what was dominating the continent of Africa. When it comes to film, is there an overarching global storytelling line that if you don't fall in line as a filmmaker, there's a likelihood that you're gonna miss out on the market?
And that is what has been sold to us. You're very right. There's a way story has been structured that we need to follow a certain structure when we are writing a story. And one of the things we did with this particular film, we really want to unlearn a lot of things. We want to unlearn how we sell our films. The other thing we are very key on as Philip Productions is unlearning how we tell our stories. Because to be very honest, every manual that we've read, every book that we've read, every teacher we've had is from US or UK, you know, from the westernized countries. And here's the truth. We are Kenyans, we are Africans. We tell stories very differently from them. So it's something we're trying to rewrite and just have our own way of writing our stories, have our own ways of directing actors. You know, for example, if you watch a lot of Hollywood films, they tend to use a lot of closer shots because, you know, they tell their stories with their eyes, their emotions. But as Kenyans and Africans, we use hand gestures a lot. You know, this is how we talk. We use our hands a lot. So we have to rethink and relearn how we write our stories. So, and with music, in regards to music, you saw what happened when the Gengeton vibe kicked in. You know, people were listening to that music and you're wondering, what's happening? It's because it's Kenyan to the core, and they did away with the Nigerian vibe and everything, and they just did music that speaks to them.
We need to relearn. Hey, and Mr. Wase, this question of relearning, it seems to be, you know, central when it comes to anything that we do in life. Always, nobody has it at 100% in anything. So there is so much to learn. For the film sector and our storytelling, from the policy perspective where you sit, is there intentional effort to instigate change in the sector and relearning some of these things that Phil is pointing out?
Yes, indeed, there is a lot that is happening. The Kenya government is deliberately putting measures in place to put a framework that will be able to guide the development, regulation of the local film industry in Kenya. We would like to attract international big blockbusters being produced on location in Kenya, but that can only happen when we have an environment that is conducive to attract more foreign films done on location and also to promote more local filmmakers to tell their stories. So yes, the government is actually putting in place that measure. We already have a draft film policy, which is soon going to be approved by the cabinet. And the film bill, which will recreate Kenya Film Commission and the regulatory body to be able to have an environment that is conducive for all filmmakers to thrive. This will create room for capacity development, room for marketing, expansion of our market. We would like to see Phil being able to co-produce with other partners in other countries. Currently, we do not have any co-production treaty as far as filmmaking is concerned with any African country or any other country for that matter. But this is critical because we need to be able to co-produce with other partners. That's the only way we'll be able to open the scope on how many people can be able to access the Kenyan stories. The film that Phil is promoting today, if it had, let's say, Ugandans into the cast or crew, then chances are that that film will be watched by Ugandans without any challenges. And I would like to see this happening to many more countries, because when we have Nigerian films or South African films being shown on location in Kenya, then the reality is when we are seeing our own participating in such films, that we will consume more content. So the intention of government is to be able to create more opportunities, investment into the sector, provide film incentives, establish a film fund, so that when you want to tell your story, you do not have to really worry about who is going to fund your product. And also to encourage private sector to participate in this business.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm glad we have private sector here. Phil, there is this element that I'm getting about policy, which is very critical, and is mentioned, you know, making Kenya a film destination.
Absolutely.
And that's quite important. But even locally, I remember some time back, pre-pandemic, I don't know whether you know Biko Nyongesa, a filmmaker, an awesome writer. He did a film, and he had a cinema. I think it was at Garden City. People went and watched and paid for it and screened severally. And people are asking, okay, how about if we have some sort of policy directive in each and every cinema in this particular country, screening Kenyan content and Kenyan films somehow? Some of these suggestions, as a filmmaker, what do you think of such?
I mean, that would be amazing, amazing. And yes, that would be an amazing policy, why not? And I have to commend Mr. Timothy, who was the CEO of Kenya Film Commission. Like, he's really, really pushing and rooting for us filmmakers. So we're very excited that the government is actually putting in policies to assist us. And whereas, you know, for him, he thinks, you know, the bigger picture. I mean, he's in government. He's able to see the bigger picture. For myself, what I'm thinking is, like currently in the country, if we look at the hospitality industry, what is keeping it afloat is local tourism, not international. And this is my strongest belief. If we want foreign filmmakers to come into this country, then we have to make this country so vibrant when it comes to film, they'll just be attracted. Like what is happening with Korea right now in the world. You know, a Korean film won Best Picture in 2019 or 2020, 2019 Oscar Awards. And all of a sudden, the world shifted their focus to Korea. And all of a sudden, like on Netflix, there were all these Korean shows. Right now, the most watched show on Netflix is a Korean production, The Squid Game. And that's because they've grown their own local industry to a point where now the international market is focusing on them. And that's our business. Our business is not to go international, we want to bring international here.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's mind-changing. Make your home, people to start wondering, okay, what is happening here?
Exactly.
We want to go there and tap into that. Because
before they come in to do their films in Kenya, as Kenyans, we need to be shooting so many films and our Kenyan people buying so many films that it will just spread the vibe out there. Yeah,
that's quite interesting. Keyword is spread the vibe. Yeah, we can use that as a hashtag.
Go ahead.
Pretty little lies.
Little lie.
Anyway, so the thing is, Mr. Owase, I want to bring you in here because we are heading towards the end of this particular conversation. We've seen digitization, which is disruption. Right now, like Squid Games is mentioned, you just watch it on Netflix at the comfort of your home. The element of experiential cinema, as we knew it traditionally, has been shaken up slightly by COVID-19. In terms of digital space and ensuring that Kenyan filmmakers are thriving in that space, I mean, what is being done to ensure that that is a solid ground that we can, cultivate a stronger film industry, digitally speaking?
Thank you. Before I get to that question, allow me to comment about the policies that the government has put in place to promote the local film industry. We are all aware about the KICA Act, Kenya Information Communication Act of 2013, which brought about the 40 to 60% local content on free-to-air broadcasting. The aim of this particular act is to ensure that there are more local productions and quality productions coming out. And of course, it doesn't end there. We're also looking at how do we ensure that audiences in Kenya are developed in a way that when Phil has a product, he knows the Kenyan market is yearning for local content of high quality, and they are willing to spend whichever amount of money, depending on how his pricing is, to pay to watch this particular product. So with the emergence of the digital space, I think this is, I won't look at it as a negative disruption, but it has brought a lot of opportunities. Today, films can be accessed through various avenues digitally. And basically, you've been given the entire world as your market. It's all about how you put out your strategies as far as promoting your product is concerned and whom you are targeting, having put right the marketing tools in terms of pricing, promotion, and even distribution, as well as placing the product at the right market. When you do this, then it's possible that you can be able to recoup your investment. So my encouragement to the local film industry, filmmakers, is to look at the digital space as a huge opportunity to actually advance the business of film, other than looking at it as a hindrance.
Definitely, very important. Phil, we are closing this up, and there is the element of you guys were selling your film online.
Yes.
And I meant to understand you're selling the link.
Yes.
And that link is very specific.
Yes.
As we close up, did you guys have any targets? Have you reached your targets? What exactly is happening?
Yes. So we are selling, you go to www.philittv.com, you purchase a watch link. The watch link will be sent to your email. Now, the unique thing we're doing with this link is you can only open this link on one device. So you choose whether to watch it on your phone or your tablet or your laptop. The reason we don't want it shareable is because, well, we want the other person to buy. So once you click open on whichever device, you can only access that film on that particular device for forever. It will always be there. Our target was to hit 50,000 watch links. If we hit 50,000 watch links, I will be able to pay the guys that did this film. I haven't paid them. The actors and the crew.
No.
And I will be able to have a budget to produce the next film, which we intend to start production maybe in January or February. Yeah. So that was our goal. As we speak right now, I think we've hit over 15,000 links. So, and this is 5 days after the launch. So
incredible support, man.
Yeah, man. And that's the thing. Kenyans are hungry for their content. Kenyans consume about 80 million views or hours of content on YouTube. Unfortunately, the bigger percentage is foreign content. But Kenyans consume a lot of content. Smartphone penetration is upwards of 20 million smartphone phones in Kenya, so we have access to people. So it's just a new way where you're paying per view, you know.
Yeah.
And we're going to preach this gospel. If it means me going out on the street and hawking, I will do so.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Wow, that's beautiful. And I'm glad that is one of the channels that you're exploring.
Right.
If I'm not wrong, for the next film, there are more creative, creative ways of marketing in the bag that you're going to be exploring.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We are creatives at the end of the day, so we'll come up with new and ingenious ways of marketing. But also, if we make money from this first film, then I will have a budget for marketing. For this first one, I didn't have a budget for marketing, and that's why we went with the screening, so that we have film ambassadors, talking about our film. So the next one, definitely, if I have a budget, expect more crazy ideas.
Wow,
yeah,
that's lovely. I'm just glad, we need to inject something into our film industry, and it's personal initiative.
Yes. Yeah.
You do your bit, I do my bit. Absolutely. At the end of the day, we sit back and we're like, this is the industry that it has become.
And I just want Kenyans to, accept this idea of paying for entertainment. And we do, as in, if you go to a club, you will buy a beer. You don't really need that beer. It's for your entertainment, or that whiskey. We pay for entertainment apart from when it comes to content. And, I'd want Kenyans to understand that content is very expensive. The cameras, the equipment that we use, very expensive. So imagine if Kenyans just paid that content creator 10 shillings or 100 shillings to watch that content,
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
That would be amazing.
And even that's what we're doing here at the Standard Group. If you want to read awesome, beautiful stories, just 10 bob away.
Yeah.
Let us get into the culture of finding value and appreciating value.
Absolutely.
Phil,
thanks, man.
Thank you, man.
Thank
This
you.
was an awesome conversation.